Calling all you vampire loving, bloodthirsty, blood sucking, fang popping freakos. We got a vampire movie to talk about today. And is this one? And is this one a classic? Is this a cult freaking masterpiece? Or is this a masterpiece of crap? We're about to find out.
Rotten pumpkins, I invoke the Pumpkin King.
Did you ever have one of those nights?
Gentlemen, I give you Katrina.
You're just what I'm looking for.
Welcome back to Rotten Pumpkins, you blood-loving freaks. I am Quinius McCringleberry, and today we're going over Vamp. Now, Vamp is a 1986 comedy horror film directed by Richard Wank, and it was co-written by Wank. In the film, 3 college students visit a strip club with the intention of hiring a stripper for a college fraternity. The stripper who impresses them turns out to be a powerful vampire, as do many of the other inhabitants of the part of the town they find themselves in. And in their carefree visit to this club, it becomes a struggle for survival. So that is the gist per Wikipedia. Now I'm going to give you my gist. The movie starts out and you're like, okay, what the hell is going on here? Make it through the first couple of minutes and then you'll see, okay, all right, I get it. So this film is not for the serious vampire lovers. I mean, you can actually appreciate the genre and still appreciate this film, but if you're looking for a serious take on vampires, this ain't it. This is a fun film. This is a film for all of you 80s lovers, because everybody loves the 80s. Seriously, best music of all time was created during the 80s. Anyway, back to the review. I just watched this movie, and I will tell you, it's like getting in a time machine.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour.
Seriously, everything in this movie is ultra 80s. From the classic fraternity dudes to the way that people talk. If you love the 80s, you might love this movie. So if you love vampires and you're into vampires, you may not like this movie, but you might appreciate it for what it is. This was made as a comedy and it doesn't take itself seriously. This group of frat guys decides to go to Las Vegas. They're going to find a stripper. They're going to pay her some money and bring her back. So they're going to Vegas. They stop in this small town. Little beknownst to them, this small town is basically a town full of vampires. It's really dark, this town. They did a really good job. And the visuals in this town kind of remind me of like Gotham, or maybe even the city from the original Crow movie. They did a real good capturing a really gritty, dark atmosphere. So anyway, these guys go into this club and they're watching some strip shows. And if you guys like butts and boobs, there's a lot of butts and boobs in this movie. It's a totally 80s movie, and it's got an R rating, most likely for the butts and boobs, although there is a little bit of gore. They're in the strip club. They're watching. They have their eye on a couple of strippers they want to bring back. One of the bros from the frat sneaks into the dressing rooms, and while he's back there, something happens. And I'm going to try to keep this spoiler-free as I can. His other buddies, they're out and about. They're wondering where he's at. He doesn't show up. Anyway, all hell kind of breaks loose in a slow way. This is similar a bit to Dusk Till Dawn. If you haven't seen that film, you've got to check out Dusk Till Dawn if you like vampires. Hell, if you like fast-paced action movies, period, or Quentin Tarantino, or George Clooney, or vampires, or more vampire strippers, watch From Dusk Till Dawn. Phenomenal movie. So back to this movie. All hell kind of breaks loose. And everything, this bar is kind of centered around the queen vampire. This queen vampire is Grace Jones, and she was a perfect fit for this mysterious queen vampire. There's an Egyptian theme with these vampires as well. And Grace Jones is this queen, and she's even got her own sarcophagus, which is pretty cool. I really love that little twist. There's a really interesting show host for this stripping establishment. You know, he's like the greeter, the meter and greeter, the announcer. He was a really cool character. There's another character in the movie that makes you go, hmm. His name is Vlad, and he's kind of like second in command. So, Vlad, is this Vlad the Impaler? Is this Dracula? You know, the original Dracula, who is a subordinate to the queen? Anyway, it was kind of cool. Makes you think Dracula had a creator. Maybe it was his queen. The movie did create a little bit of subculture, but I'm not going to spoil the movie. So let's get into what I liked about the movie. I loved that the movie was pure 80s. It's really great hopping in a time machine and just zipping back to the 80s and immersing yourself. But this movie is immersive. It is immersive if you want to get lost in the 80s. It is fun. It had a flow. It was continuing to move. And I really like that. Sometimes movies, you kind of get stuck and you're like, all right, we're just sitting here. No problem with this movie. This movie had a great flow to it and it kept on trucking. The script was phenomenal. There were some laugh out loud moments for me with the main protagonist in this film. It's so innocent and dumb as these little one-liners were, they really had me laughing. Just because I really appreciated the brilliance of the script writing combined with the actor's delivery. So I love that. What else did I like about this movie? The acting was good. These weren't big known actors, although the main protagonist, I believe he was also in like one of those Nerds movies, Revenge of the Nerds, maybe. But the acting was good. There were some fun cliche characters, but it was great. It worked perfect in this movie. What else did I like? Grace Jones was fabulous as this vampire queen. She didn't really speak. She was about her mystique, and she had quite a mystique in this movie, let me tell you. And if you don't know who Grace Jones is, here she is. She was an 80s like goddess model queen. She was a big thing back in the 80s. What else did I like? It had a fun ending. The movie had a fun ending. I liked it. I liked it. So what didn't I like? I didn't like the initial Fang scene. And it's from Grace Jones. And to be honest, it looked like concrete fangs to me. They looked ridiculous. This prosthetic came out of her mouth. But it was only in that one intro scene. The rest of the movie, fangs were fine. More traditional vampire fangs in this movie, apart from Grace Jones, who the queen apparently has some super apparatus for ripping throats. Anyway, that's probably about all that I did not like. The movie had a perfect running time. It was a good 80s blast. So let's rate it. Let's go to jump scares. Is this a movie that's going to scare you, frighten you out of the blue? No, it's not that kind of movie. We're going to give it a 1 for jump scares. Now, nightmare fuel. Will this movie give you nightmares? Well, if you're 9 years old and you walk in on your parents in 1986 watching this movie, yeah, it might give you nightmares. There are some scenes that would probably be disturbing to little kids. But for you and you and you over there, it's not going to scare you. It's just not going to do it. So for nightmare fuel, we will give it a 2. We're going to give it a 2. Overall enjoyability. We're going to bring out the pumpkin meter. From a rotted, disgusting, nasty, gross, moldy, putrid pumpkin, all the way up to 5 beautiful, fresh, plump pumpkins ready for pie. What are we going to rate this movie? We will give this one a solid 4. Yep, not a 4.5. We will give it a solid 4. Do I recommend this movie? Yes. Is it perfect? No. Do I want you to see it? Yes. I think you should go watch this movie. If you like vampires, if you don't need something serious, if you want something fun, if you want to hop into a DeLorean and shoot back to the 80s, this is the movie that can do it. It was fun, pure 80s, decent vampire. The plot was good. It had a fun theme from the beginning to the end. It was kind of different. So that's going to wrap it up for my Vamp review. If you liked this review, please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, maybe even hit that little bell icon. You'll get notified when I release a new video. And on that note, I'm going to ask my buddy Doc. He's got this really cool car that can take us, other places. And we're going to head to 1986. Hey, Doc, go ahead and fire it up. Set the dial for July 19th, 1986. We're going to the drive-in this time. Guys, Pumpkin King is out. Hopefully I'll make it back.
Miles per hour!